name's Guy Bevington. I'm the MD for TrueNorth. The history of TrueNorth, well, I guess we're kind of a couple of years old now. Just started at the tail end of 2019. And when people ask me, why did I start my recruitment company? It was really for quite a specific reason. So kind of after spending 13 years in the industry, I felt that recruitment in many ways, in many places, and the way it was being done was broken. Really, I think it was fundamentally, there's a reason that a lot of recruiters have quite a bad stigma in the market, because I think a lot of the services that they provide and the way they go about conducting themselves is quite worthy of that negative stigma. And when I left my previous company after 10 years, I personally was really disenfranchised and disenchanted with recruitment in general. So I knew that the only way I could really, and I interviewed at quite a few different places and got offered a few different roles, but unfortunately it felt like no matter where I went, it was kind of a rebadged, really similar kind of culture, to be honest, of kind of boiler room-esque sales environments, and all about kind of self-serving individuals who value profit above people. And I thought the only way I could really take control of that and build a culture that I was really proud of was to start my own business. So the ethos and the premise of TrueNorth is not so much about how can you help me, it's about how can we help you. And we wanted to be a business that was, at its heart, our mantra, it sounds quite idealistic, but our mission really is that we want people to be happy at work. And that's both our customers that we serve, that we help, in finding new roles, but also our employees internally within the business as well. Because I knew firsthand, how unhappy the workplace can make somebody. So everything that we do, every time we go out there and we serve anybody, we have a conversation with anybody, it's always about putting them and their career front and center. And fundamentally, if that means taking another job through another agency that's not necessarily going to make us a fee, but it's the right thing for them and it's the right thing for their career, then we will absolutely advise them to do that and go out there with our blessing to do what's right for them as an individual. So always putting the customer and the person first and valuing the relationship above numbers on a piece of paper. That's at the heart of the business, and it's something that's served us really well so far, and hopefully will continue to do so for the future.
Yeah. And do you think there were other factors that helped you make the decision of launching your own business?
Yeah, there were quite a few factors that made me decide to do it on my own. I mean, as I say, I interviewed at quite a few different places and got offered a number of different roles, but nobody really could give me what I was looking for. And this was sort of pre-pandemic, so the remote working side of things was, I guess less frequent, less sort of known in the market. But I've got a young family. And I wanted, most important thing to me was that my kids grew up and they kind of knew who I was and had spent some time with me. And my previous job, I would get up on a Monday morning, knowing that I really wouldn't see my kids until Saturday morning, because they'd be asleep by the time I got home in the evening, and they'd be asleep when I left in the morning to go to the office. So I was just missing out on chunks of their life. So I was really quite keen to have something where I controlled my diary. I had the sort of work-life balance that I wanted. And that was probably the other really big reason, why I decided to do it on my own.
Yeah. And how were the first few months of launching?
The first few months of launching were, I guess, scary in many ways, daunting. When you're kind of, even though you've been in the industry for 13 years, when you're going out there on your own, you're doing it, it's always that question mark of, oh God, can I do the job? Do I remember how to do the job? But to be honest, very quickly, I just found it very exciting. And I realized, of course, I remember how to do the job. I've been doing it for 13 years. Got into the swing of things relatively quickly. So it's always going to be a bit of a leap of faith. I think when you start any business, things, of course, inevitably will never never go the way you plan them, and will never be sort of plain sailing or fully smooth. But that's part and parcel of the journey, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted the challenge, to do something different, and and it's been the most enjoyable couple of years I've had in recruitment. And even amidst a pandemic, when it's been a very difficult market for many reasons, it's still been highly enjoyable, and that's the most important thing for me, really.
Yeah. And how long had you know that you wanted to start your own business? Did anything like delay you from launching?
I mean, I've not necessarily planned to start my own business, up until really when I left my previous company. So I knew that I wasn't happy, and I knew that I was quite, I felt quite stale in what I was doing. And when I kind of left my previous company, I started interviewing at other places. It kind of further verified that I would just be doing the same job somewhere else. Making somebody else rich and lining their pockets. And ultimately, I thought, well, do you know what? Actually, what is the point in going somewhere else and doing the same thing again? I might as well just do it on my own. And that's really where the thought process came from.
Yeah. And when you came to launching your business, how many different options did you look at?
I looked at quite a few, because I think it's obviously important to do due diligence on such a big move. And I spoke to a number of different partners and people that would offer services, back office services in the recruitment space. Because one of the things I was really quite clear on is I know parts of the job I enjoy, and I know parts of the job I don't enjoy. And I wanted to focus on doing the forward facing bit and the customer interaction. And that's the part of the job I feel I'm best at, and the part of the job I really am passionate about. So I did want to partner with somebody or a firm or whatever that could give me a lot of the back office infrastructure that I needed, that could just take that headache off my plate. And also deal with a lot of the all of the associated admin and accounts and all of that kind of thing. So I spoke to probably 4 or 5 different companies, and met them. Again, didn't necessarily vibe from a personality or a rapport point of view with a couple of them, and obviously the people you're going to be working really closely with. So that's a really important part of it for me as well. The other thing that kind of struck me was a lot of the businesses where you're starting your own business, but they're kind of a partner with you and sort of the giving you that vehicle to start the business. It didn't really feel like with a lot of them it actually was your business. It felt like they still had a huge amount of ownership over you, a lot of control over your business. And to me, that's just like you're basically doing the same job as you would be if you're going to work for someone else. Someone else has got a real massive stake in your business and full control over everything you're doing. It didn't really ring true to me. And one of the things I was really impressed with about Recruit Hub in particular was the emphasis is very much on this is your business. We're here as a partner to help you, but ultimately you call the shots, you do what you want to do. They respect the fact that if somebody's been around the block long enough, they know what they're doing, that there is an enabler rather than the powers that be, that sort of big brother looking over your shoulder. And that's one of the things that really kind of resonated with me about Recruit Hub. And then when I met Edmund and Simon, I felt we got on really well. And again, that's a really important thing. We sort of had that initial rapport and relationship. And hence why decided to go with those guys.
Yeah. And what was your experience of sourcing investment to launch?
Really quite a smooth process, to be honest. I was kind of in a situation where I had a pot of money that I could use to start my own business, but I also wanted to kind of de-risk a lot of that and get the support of investors along the way. So Recruit Hub were really quite helpful, very instrumental in that whole process. So we sort of spoke through different business models of how it could work, and what would be a sensible level of startup capital to take, and yeah, they actually kind of really took a lot of the heavy lifting off my plate around that, and essentially organized a lot of it for me. And the whole process was pretty smooth and pretty pain free, to be honest.
Amazing. And you've recently just scaled your team. What advice would you give to other founders considering making their early hires?
For me, it was really important to get the right people on board, rather than just hiring for the sake of hiring, which I think is where, unfortunately, a lot of companies inevitably get to, where they're just adding in headcount. But, I've long believed that more heads in a recruitment business doesn't mean a better level of service. If anything, it can mean quite the opposite. So I was really keen to make sure that we've got the right people. I actually promised myself I wouldn't hire anybody for like 2 years after I left my previous company, just because my job had morphed into something that wasn't even recruitment anymore. But we got to the point where obviously we got relatively busy relatively quickly and needed the extra support. And actually, I'm really glad that we have grown and we have scaled, because doing it in the right way, in the right culture, with the right people, in the right environment, it makes the job infinitely more enjoyable when you've got the right people along the journey with you to share in the wins and the highs and the lows that invariably come with recruitment. But yeah, my advice would be just make sure you're picking the right people rather than just growing for the sake of growing. But also make sure that your business is in the place where you can grow and you've got that sort of sustainability there, that you're not not sort of putting a noose around your neck with a load of extra costs without necessarily having the through flow of business there to support it.
Yeah. And how would you rate the technology you're running your business on through Recruit Hub?
One of the things I've been most impressed with actually in the Recruit Hub offering is how proactive Recruit Hub has been in offering new tech that can help augment our service and kind of further increase our business delivery. Because I having been in the industry for 10 plus years, thought, well, I'm kind of up to speed with pretty much all the latest tech. I know about all the CRMs, I know about all the different tools and that kind of thing. But actually, one of the things I was very impressed with, is I very often get contacted about a new tool that I'd never even heard of before, never even come across. And to know that there is, somebody out there that's constantly got their eye on the forefront of the market and doing all that sort of research piece and doing all the due diligence around tools about whether they could help a business or not is massively advantageous. And it's really, really valuable for us to have that, because, there's probably been 3 or 4 bits of technology that have been introduced to me that I've just never even come across before, and actually have had kind of revolutionary impacts on our ability to deliver, and our kind of output. So yeah, I've been very impressed with the tech that we've had, and if there's ever an issue or ever a problem, it's usually very quickly resolved as well. So the ongoing support is pretty bang on as well.
Yeah. And how quickly were you able to focus on revenue and sales after launching?
Focus on what, sorry?
Revenue building and sales.
Revenue building and sales. Yeah, pretty much immediately. I mean, we went through the initial due diligence period of getting all the branding and everything right, and getting the website built and out to market. Once that happened, there was nothing else really stopping me just focusing full time on the parts of the job that I wanted to focus on, which was billing and revenue and doing deals. So yeah, there wasn't really any kind of anything that was hampering me from launch to go and focus on that.
Yeah. And how does the experience of building your team as an entrepreneur compare with your experience of doing it at larger business?
I mean, I'm just infinitely happier than where I was in my previous company, and that's the only thing I can really measure it by. And it was the biggest thing I wanted to change, was just getting up in the morning and actually looking forward to work, and working off my own steam, and doing something with a purpose. I've just been really, really rudderless for so long, and just basically told to make money for the sake of making money, and it just didn't make me happy. It didn't drive me at all. So yeah, just getting up and actually building something that's got a real special value and a real kind of unique purpose and mission is everything to me.
You've been partnering with another firm in the Recruit Hub network to help their clients fill data science roles. How valuable has it been to have access to a broader network as a Recruit Hub partner?
Yeah, it's been excellent, actually. It's not something I necessarily thought would be something that would come as part and parcel of the, of partnering together. But yeah, I've actually managed to partner with multiple different, partners within the Recruit Hub network at various stages to either help them, fill their roles, or then help us fill our roles. And I think it's just such a real value add to have that network of, really great recruiters on hand. And also everybody's kind of different, I guess. Everyone's got different motivations and different business models and different market focuses and that kind of thing. But one of the great things I've found is just everybody I've met so far within the Recruit Hub network are all kind of really great people, really nice, very like-minded in many ways. So you kind of instantly vibe with them when you meet with them, and it's not this stupid us and them type mentality that exists in recruitment, where it's all like, mine, I'm not going to share anything with anyone else. It's all about me. To actually realizing that there's huge value, both kind of monetary and otherwise, in partnering with other businesses, that can be a huge win-win for both parties. And that's something I've really enjoyed doing, actually.
Yeah. And what's the most exciting element of running your own company?
The most exciting element is just kind of getting up every day, not knowing what's going to happen, but going out there and just knowing that you kind of stand for something different, and actually delivering a really great service and being able to stand behind your service in terms of what you deliver to people. It just gives me infinitely more job satisfaction than what I used to have. So the best part of it is just we're still only at the beginning of our journey, and there's just so much further to go. And it's just very exciting, that we've managed to achieve what we've achieved in the last couple of years. But we're still kind of right at the tip of the iceberg in terms of where we can go. So the journey is a lot longer to come yet.
And what are TrueNorth's unique selling points?
Our unique selling points, I guess, really what I genuinely believe is a unique proposition in our service is that it's all about a value on customer service and the relationship with other people. We will put that in front of our need to make a profit, or our need to make placements, because it's quite frankly the way I'd want to be treated if I was looking for a job. So our USPs really are we will always make sure that whatever proposition we're putting in front of somebody or whatever, if we genuinely don't think it's going to be the right fit for that person, it's not going to make them happy, then we won't do it. It's as simple as that. So we've just got a real kind of ethical backbone around doing what makes people happy, because that's the most important thing to us. We do also have a real emphasis on women in tech as well, focusing on women in tech. So diversity is something that's really important. I believe, as a dad of 2 daughters, it's something I'm very passionate about. And so we have a real focus on around assisting, identifying great female talent in the market and assisting them with their careers moving forward. And the other thing as well, I think, in terms of what I want the business to stand for and where I want us to go, ultimately my vision for the business is that we become less of a company and more of a movement around actually giving back, and being the change that you want to see in the world. Because as I mentioned, recruitment is very focused on me, making money. It's all about me and profits and that kind of thing. And actually we want to make it more about how can recruitment be used to create a positive chain reaction of events throughout the world. So for instance, we have what's called our placement pledge. So every time that we do a placement, or we successfully help somebody find a new role, we have a series of charitable events that then get triggered. So we would every placement that we make, we would ship 1,500 COVID vaccines to countries in the world that need them. We buy 9 families malaria nets that need them to protect them from malaria, and we plant 10 trees as well to kind of help offset carbon emissions. So every single time we're making a placement, yeah, we're doing something exceptional and great for that particular candidate and sort of enriching their life, but we're also giving something back to the world and helping the world kind of become a better place in that regard as well. And that's something that's really important to all of us.
Yeah, that's amazing. And finally, what advice would you give to recruiters who are kind of sitting on the fence and still considering setting up?
I mean, there's never going to be a good time to do it. You know, that's the thing. You can always talk yourself out of it. You know, I was somebody that very much had golden handcuffs on from my previous company. And that's the thing that kind of kept me anchored there for a lot longer than it should have done, to be honest. But looking back in retrospect, it's just absolutely night and day, you know, from a monetary perspective, but also a fulfillment perspective, why you would, you know, go and do your own thing. So if somebody's on the fence, you know, I'd say it's always got to be your decision. No one can make that decision for you at the end of the day. But I always looked at it like, well, what's the worst case scenario? You try it, it fails, and then you go and get another job in a recruitment company anyway, which is what you're doing now. So what have you got to lose by, you know, at least giving it a go? And, you know, genuinely, I think, you know, I'm a big believer in fortune favors the brave. And I think if you give it a go, you'll probably surprise yourself in terms of what you're actually capable of doing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me.